A week after my son Matthew married Brooke, she appeared at my door with a well-dressed man carrying a leather briefcase. "Mom, this is Paul, a notary," she said, smiling the way people do when they want something. "We're here to help you with some house paperwork." My heart thudded, but I kept my face calm. They thought they had me cornered. What they didn't know was how carefully I had prepared for this moment. To understand why. I have to go back 3 months, back to the day Matthew told me he was getting married. When Matthew shared the news, I was kneading dough in my kitchen, the smell of yeast warm and familiar. I was happy for him, truly. I believed love had finally found my only child. That I prepared for Brooke's first visit the way I prepared for everything important in my life. With care. I cooked Matthew's favorite dishes, polished the house, and wore my best dress. I imagined bonding over recipes and stories, maybe even becoming friends. But from the moment Brooke stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. She barely returned my hug. Her eyes skimmed my modest home with quiet judgment. During dinner, my questions were met with clipped answers. She poked at my food as if it were beneath her. And when I asked if she enjoyed cooking, she replied flatly, "I don't have time for that. I prefer proper restaurants." The word proper stung more than I expected. Matthew tried to smooth things over, but the message was clear. To Brooke, I was outdated. My home, my cooking, my way of life.
When I offered to bake the wedding cake, a family tradition, she laughed.
Every
"Oh no,
visit felt
Mom, Dad, I don't
heavier.
want anything homemade."
Brooke never asked
That
about
night,
my day.
I cried alone in my
She
kitchen,
spoke as
clutching
if
the
my
apron
role
my
in
own mother had
Matthew's
given me
life was
decades
already
earlier.
over.
On the wedding day,
"You'll have so
I tried
much
to
free
believe things
time
would
after the
improve.
wedding."
They
She
didn't.
once said
Brooke
brightly.
placed me
I
in the 5th
smiled,
row at the church,
confused.
behind coworkers
enjoy
and
being
distant
with you
acquaintances.
both.
At the reception,
She
she
exchanged a
introduced me
look
only
with
as Matthew's mom,
One
never
I
by
would
name.
come to
When I was
understand
finally
far too
allowed to give a
well.
toast, I
Wedding
was cut off
preparations
mid-sentence
made
by
things
forced applause.
worse.
That I went home that
Brooke
night feeling
decided
like a stranger in my
everything
son's
without
life.
consulting me.
After the wedding, the silence was worse than the insults. Matthew rarely called. When he did, his words sounded rehearsed. Brooke spoke about the house as if it no longer belonged to me. Then the suggestions began. "Have you thought about selling?" Brooke asked sweetly. "It's a lot of responsibility at your age." A few days later, Matthew came by to echo her concerns. He couldn't look me in the eye. That night, I remembered something my late husband once told me. "Don't let anyone trample you. You're stronger than you think." I opened the safe I hadn't touched in months. Inside was the deed to a 500-acre ranch in eastern Washington, property my husband had left entirely to me. Its value was enormous, but what mattered more was what it represented. Independence. I decided then to tell no one. The pressure escalated quickly. Brooke and Matthew returned with papers, proposing that I sell my home, place my money in accounts they would control, and move into assisted living for my own safety. I smiled, nodded, and asked for time. Instead, I called a lawyer. With my friend Rachel beside me, I met Robert Hayes, an attorney experienced in elder asset protection. He confirmed what my instincts already knew. I was being targeted. We prepared safeguards. We documented everything. When Brooke returned, with Matthew and the notary, I was ready. They laid the papers out, urging me to sign. Paul produced his seal. Brooke showed glossy photos of nursing facilities disguised as peaceful communities. I pretended to waver. Then the doorbell rang. Rachel stood there with Mr. Hayes and a county investigator. The room went silent. Under legal scrutiny, the plan unraveled quickly. The investigator asked questions. The lawyer reviewed documents. Panic replaced Brooke's confidence. Then I brought out the ranch deed. The shock on their faces was unforgettable. "Millions," Mr. Hayes confirmed calmly. That was the moment Matthew finally looked at me. Not as a burden, but as his mother. They left shortly after. In the months that followed, Brooke disappeared from our lives. Matthew came alone, slowly trying to earn back trust he had nearly destroyed. The notary lost his license. An investigation exposed a broader pattern of elder fraud. that I moved to the ranch. On my 70th birthday, I sat on the porch watching the sun set over land that was finally, unmistakably mine. The house became a refuge for women like me. Women pressured, silenced, and underestimated. Now they come with their stories, and they leave with something stronger than sympathy. Knowledge that I tell them what I learned too late and just in time. Silence can protect you, but only until you are strong enough to speak. My name is Suzanne. I am 70 years old. And this is the chapter where I chose dignity, boundaries, and freedom.